is my place, and I am welcome.
Yes, here we are. Everybody can hear me? Start where you are. When you don't know where to begin, you just start where you are. The creative process has always amazed me. A month ago, before this talk started, I had no title, no idea what I was going to say. The one thing I did have, though, was the theme that was given to me by the lovely people of Unity York region. The theme was spiritual understanding. And those two words had me stumped. I wondered about this concept. And I wondered, is this going to be really hard for me? It's going to be hard, isn't it? That was my internal chatter. I had to share this because I had no idea truly what it meant, but I was determined to find out. What's always fascinating for me is that every time I start to write a talk for you, I discover a deeper level of spiritual understanding about myself. And when I dive into the Bible and its stories, what I discover is that something I did not know before takes on a deeper meaning. And what I've come to discover is that the Bible has changed me. I've also come to discover more than ever that God is everywhere and in all things. And if God puts an idea in my head, then dollars to donuts, God is going to give me the solution to get to it. God's going to take me into gentle pastures. And so I began by starting every talk by going for a walk. And I went out to my trail down the road from where I live, and it had just finished raining. The trees were still dripping from wet. The ground was soaked, and the air was filled with that fragrant smell of that earthiness, of the dewiness of the day. And there, on the trail, off to one side, was a book. This book was on the trail, opened, wet, and unloved. I picked it up, took it home, dried it all off, and lo and behold, the title of this book became the title of my talk. How's that for a good start? And it also says, I noticed on the back of it, every answer is inside of you, which is definitely where we're at today with spiritual understanding. I love how God shows up to surprise and delight me. So I started this talk with a thought, spiritual understanding. Spirit showed me the title, and then I began to write. And it was chicken scratch. It was really not good stuff. But I kept going. I kept writing. And you know what happened? Spirit just showed up, and I kept at it, and things started to show up. It turned really beautiful. And here I am sharing it today. So what am I saying here? God planted a seed. He planted a seed inside of me, and God put it in there. And if God put it there, then chances are God's got what it takes in order for it to flourish and to come out of the ground and to become this amazing project, whatever it is that I set my intention on. So back to spiritual understanding. Questions come up for me. What is it? Why is it important? And who is this for? So who else do I turn to but our own Emily Cady for really getting down deep into what the answer is. And in her work, Lessons in Truth, there's my copy, she writes, it is for everyone. You will no longer dwell in darkness, for the light will be within your own heart. This is spiritual understanding. So here's the first good news. The light is within everybody and everything. The wisdom, the spiritual realization is within everybody. And just like Jesus, we have that golden light of God within us. And it is wise, it is wonderful, it is all-knowing and all-powerful. We are a part of the collective consciousness, and it is uniquely us as well. Going forward, Emily Cady also states that spiritual understanding is a goal, a daily practice of tuning into awareness, the understanding of what already exists. She believes that spiritual understanding starts within the heart. And I agree with her for the most part. However, I often think that perhaps it's not only in the heart, but it's also within the nucleus of our DNA, right? It's in every cell of our body. We're all of that. Spiritual understanding arises from within. It's an inner knowingness. It's developed when you take the time to get quiet, sitting in silence, putting down the cell phone. Where's my cell phone? I put it away. Putting down the cell phone, putting down the TV remote. Being linked to God mind is like opening yourself up like a well, right? A small well. But when you take the time every day to be in the silence, to open up to the awareness, then God can work through you and create within you a deeper well of understanding. And then you open up to the channel between you and divine wisdom, right? That connection to your divine makes life worthwhile. Now, she also writes, do not be confused with intellectual wisdom, because spiritual understanding could be similar to intellectual knowledge, but it's not. And here's the difference. The difference is that intellectual knowledge comes from outside of yourself. We listen to others, read books, Google, and this is all good information, but here's the catch. After a while, you've read so much and watched so many YouTube videos and Googled and had conversations with people that you begin to take on this outside information as your own without really discerning if that is the truth for you, right? That's the difference. So let's take this into story, shall we? And of course, who better than to have Jesus, our way shower, right? And we're going to go to the New Testament in Matthew 16. And in this chapter, we have a clearer vision of spiritual understanding that is happening within a disciple. So Jesus, our way shower, is a teacher. And he's a Jewish teacher, so he is the rabbi. And here he is seated with his tribe, his disciples, in a circle. And look at the symbolism here. He is not higher up than them. They are all at eye level, which means they're all equal. And also notice that they're sitting in a circle, which means that there is no power here. Everybody is, they're all connected, they're all one, right? Now, Jesus, the teacher, does not teach by giving you information, expecting the student to memorize it and then regurgitate it back. No, Jesus, in his education, right, teaches by the Socratic method, which means he asks open-ended questions that help people to discern what is their truth and to draw out their truth. In fact, the word education actually comes from a derivative of the Latin word educare, which means to draw out. Cool, eh? So, moving track here. Okay, back over I go. So, where am I going with this? Okay, I know, sorry, back on track. And now he is sitting in a circle with them and he asks this wonderful, deep question. He asks, who do men say that the Son of Man is? All right, I'm going to ask that one, say that one again. Who do men say that the Son of Man is? Now, that's a tough question. And the disciples, in their understanding, immediately start saying, oh, some say you're John the Baptist. Some say Elijah or Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. And that was an answer for sure, but it wasn't the one that Jesus was looking for, right? So Jesus, in his wisdom, rephrases the question now. He turns to them and he points and he says, but who do you say I am? Who do you say I am? Do you see? He wants them to go within. He hears the answers from other opinions, but he wants their truth, right? So they all got quiet. And all of a sudden, Peter was the one who just lit up like a light bulb and blurted out, oh, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Well, ding, 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 ding. Tell him what he wins, Johnny. This was the revelation that Jesus was hoping for. Jesus lit up like a light bulb himself because he knew that this was the information that came not from a book or another teacher. It was a flash of understanding that suddenly illumined Peter's mind from within. And Jesus quickly turned to Peter, and you can imagine the look of relief and joy as he said to him, "Blessed are Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you." He is so proud of Peter at this moment. But what he's really saying here is that his response didn't come from an outside information, not from a person, but from the Father who is within, or the still small voice, whatever it is that you want to call that, that spiritual realization. So in his excitement, Jesus goes on to say, "And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the powers of death shall not prevail it." Okay, pretty powerful premonition he's talking about. On this rock, I will build my church, which now got me thinking, on what rock and what church is he talking about? Peter experienced an understanding, an illumination, and that understanding, the understanding that Jesus was more than just a bloody, bony body. He was the Christ consciousness. He was the embodiment of the Christ. So much more, so much more. Now, here is the actual key as well. Not only is it within Jesus, but it's within all of us. All of us carry that unique spark of Christ divinity. Isn't that neat? So the other point that I wanted to make was that the fundamental concept was that the rock is actually the foundation of this truth. And that upon that, he wants to build a church. So the rock is the foundational truth of spiritual understanding. And the church is not necessarily a bricks and mortar kind of church. That's not what Jesus came here to do. Jesus came to enlighten, to inspire, to uplift, and to help others to realize their own Christ consciousness, right? And that kind of church still exists today with no boundaries and no religion too. It's the realization of an inner revelation, an inner awakening of one mind and one Christ together. So does that mean that intellectual knowledge is not important? No, not really, because intellectual knowledge and information is very important at the beginning of the journey. But the pursuit of gaining knowledge can leave us as if we're feeling as if something's missing. You know what I mean? We work and we work and we think that there's something more, right? Metaphysically, John the Baptist represents intellectual knowledge, right? John in the Bible had to come first. John prepared the way for Jesus. Just as your Bible studies and truth study prepare the way for spiritual understanding. At one point in the Bible, you know, John actually cried out in the wilderness. The wilderness, it symbolizes the imprisonment to the world through the experience of the five senses. We have so many times placed our faith and trust in the outer world of companies and parents and schools and jobs for so long that we become lost and confused sometimes. And we begin to think, gosh, there's got to be something more. That's where spiritual understanding comes in. You see, it's a head-heart experience. The intellectual knowledge comes from up here. The spiritual understanding comes here. Joined together, it makes for a beautiful, beautiful you. So to sum up the steps to spiritual understanding, Emily Cady suggests that you do study first. You do the John the Baptist step first, and you drop the old paradigms, and you read, you discuss, you click with a mouse the information that you are trying to learn, right? And as well, be open. Have that curious mind that is open to new thoughts and ideas. The second step is to deeply desire spiritual understanding so passionately. Desire it and desire it so much that nothing can distract you. This desire to have a close personal connection with your divine can leave you feeling so empowered, so uplifted, and so tuned in to the other realities that may come your way. And that means putting down the cell phone sometimes, putting down the TV remote, not maybe numbing yourself with going shopping, but then again, I can't put down retail therapy. It serves people really well, including myself. Step number 3, practice being an observer. Staying in neutral, being aware from a detached place, not identifying with anything, just being in neutral, because everything is basically energetically neutral. It's until we put our attention on it that it actually has energy, that it has power, right? Do you desire greater spiritual understanding? Then choose to make time for it. Spiritual understanding is really quite a discipline, isn't it? And a discipline that when you organize your life in specific and intentional ways, that means that you're saying yes to something that you really want and no to the other things that don't maybe not matter so much. Then, of course, you need to stick to it. I love this expression. It's been said, if you want to catch a moose, you got to go where the moose are, right? You won't find any moose in Toronto because, well, unless they're a statue, I guess, or you go to the zoo, but, you know, you got to go where they are. If you want groceries, go to the grocery store. If you want a book, go to the library. If you want a friend, be a friend. But if you want an up close and personal relationship with God, stop, drop, and tune in from time to time during the day and establish that connection. Move in the direction of your desire. Makes sense, right? If you want understanding and wisdom from the great cosmic pool of wisdom that's already there, tune in, because every answer is inside you. There's a story in the Bible about Moses and the burning bush. Moses is told by God to take off his sandals because he is standing on holy ground. Now, what's up with that? Here's the key. The ground has been holy the whole time. This story is about Moses becoming aware of it, becoming grounded, and he's getting understanding. I read a story in the book of Genesis about Jacob. Now, I swear to God, I did this slide and this part already a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realize that that would actually coincide with the daily word today, which I think is kind of fun. I love when things like that happen. So in the story in the book of Genesis about Jacob, he wakes up from a dream and he's saying, surely God was in this place and I wasn't even aware of it. You see, Jacob is not only waking up from a dream, but he's waking up in a larger sense as well, to the divine presence of all life that was already there. You see, his understanding is expanding, right? And look, he's taken his sandals off too. He is being illumined by the light of spiritual understanding. So stop, drop, and just be. And I'm sure you're wondering now, okay, I want more of this. I understand what it is, but how do I achieve that? There's the answer for you now. How do you begin? Well, I have a suggestion that you can try. Get silent every day for 10 minutes. That's it. And do this for 30 days. Sit in a chair, breathe, and eyes open or eyes closed, but don't really meditate, because what we're doing here is we're taking in the experiences from all your senses: smelling, tasting, hearing, touching, just knowingness, being in that beautiful state for 10 minutes. Okay, I'll just keep talking.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm back. So be in that state for 10 minutes. That's it. Being the observer. And see what happens for you. See what comes up. You may want to journal about it afterwards, and you may just want to draw a picture instead, because some people aren't journalers, they're drawers, and that's fine, whatever it is. I just offer this up as an exercise, just to see how it might change your life and develop your own awareness. Now, what I have found since I've been doing this, because I'm not going to give this exercise to you unless I've tried it myself, but what I did find in the last couple of weeks of doing this is that there's been more synchronicity in my life, more flow, more just, just tuning in. I can just perceive things before they even happen, right? I mean, I'm in a conversation with somebody, they're telling me about their child, and then turns out that I'm having a similar situation with my child soon after that, which is kind of interesting to start watching the synchronicities there. If you find this exercise is too much, I know you're saying to me, Jackie, I already have enough to do in my life every day. 10 minutes is too much. I get it. Here's my suggestion for you. Instead, why not grab a few minutes while you're standing in line at the grocery store? Instead of picking up your cell phone and checking your email, put it down and just breathe, relax, tune in, look around, see what's going on, right? You can do the same thing when you're going for a walk. Don't put the earbuds in and start listening to a podcast. You can, but try it just to see what the difference might reveal for you. The same thing when you're driving in the car. No radio, just keep it in silence. You may have been already starting to think about this already. I'm saying it's something neat to try. Surrender to the silence within you. Give it an opportunity, and you might be quite amazed. Don't take my word for it, though. Just give it a try. So there you go. Now, this talk was not that hard after all. The concept is not that hard. It's really quite simple. It's the perfection of the Christ within all of us. The lesson here is that just like Jesus, we have the embodiment of the Christ as well. And every answer is inside you. It's really just that simple. May you, my friends, go forth unto this day with a grateful, giving heart. And may you take the time to take your sandals off and stand on holy ground, remembering your magnificence. May you be inspired may you be remembering the beauty of who you are and who you are becoming, knowing that it's perfect. You are wise, you are wonderful, and everything is always working out in your highest and best good. And may you start where you are. We'll now have a little bit of music to set the tone for the meditation, and I'll be happy to guide you through that.
One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in, with one breath at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. One breath at a time. One step at a time. One step at a time. That's where peace comes in. One step at a time. One step at a time. One step at a time. That's where peace comes in. One step at a time. One breath at a time. Breath at a time. One breath at a time. Breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. That's where grace comes in. With one breath, one breath at a time. Taking one breath, one step, one breath, one step, one breath, one step, one breath, one step. Just breathe, just breathe, one step, just breathe, one step, one step, one breath, one breath, one step, one step, one breath, one step, just breathe, breathe, one step.
Join with me in consciousness, taking this time to take our sandals off, so to speak, and to remember We are on holy ground. Breathing in, connecting to God mind, our mind to God mind. Allowing our bodies to become wells, opened channels for God's infinite wisdom and healing. And if these words resonate with you, allow them to become the one with your very own heart. I see the Christ within me, and I am glowing. My heart center expands with awareness and understanding. I now breathe into that beautiful, swirling, pulsing light within me and allow it to expand into every bone, muscle, tendon, and cell. I now allow this beautiful God force energy to expand even past my skin and bones, out 3 inches beyond me. And I am illumined by the light of spiritual understanding. I no longer dwell in darkness, for the light of the Holy Spirit resides in me. I am open and receptive even more to the presence of God in my life. And I am so very, very grateful. Breathing in, being aware of breathing in, breathing out, being aware of breathing out. I am blessed with spiritual understanding, God realization, a knowingness that a divine wisdom guides me all the time, and I call it God. Awakened to the power of God's glorious light, I am wise, peaceful, whole, complete. Tuning in to God realization, I know that I am successful in all areas of my life. I am the light, the love, the wisdom of God in expression. There is nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. As I trust in God's divine plan, I trust now in the process of life. In this now moment of inner peace, I discover so much more to me than I had previously been aware. This magnificent moment of contemplation has helped me understand, and for this I am very, very grateful. As I sit for a few moments in the silence. Lord, Make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Taken from the Prayer of Peace by St. Francis of Assisi. Taking this moment now to breathe in, being so grateful for this time and this place together to pray, to acknowledge the spiritual realization that is within and everywhere present. Breathing in, being aware, breathing in, and then letting it all go with a big out breath. And so it is. Amen.
This is my